this is the final stretch of getting Kahleesi ready to go to the Horse World Expo. I'm going to show you guys some of the behind the scenes training of trying to get her ready for some of the different demos and things that we're going to be doing down there, including this, which is trying to get her comfortable in her lay down to stay down longer by giving her her supper while she is laying down. So that's kind of a fun way to help horses get a little bit more excited about the thing that you're asking them to do, to try to make it really rewarding and awesome for them to do. So here's a little look at our Liberty work. I was experimenting with some polls to try to come up with some different ideas, because we're trying to keep things pretty simple in the sense of what we want to ask our horses to do. So we're being really simple in terms of the props that we're bringing down. There's already going to be a pedestal and some jumps, and so I don't want to add like a whole lot more. So it's like, okay, what's something that I could do a bunch of different things with? So I'm experimenting with kind of sending her around them, getting her to side pass them. You're going to see me do a little bit of backing up and things like that. And it's really just about trying to use the exact same prop to do multiple things. And I'm also playing around with her at Liberty with her halter on, so I can add some clarity, because here you can see she's like, what do you mean? What do you want me to do? What is that thing you want me to do? So I actually have to wave my arm on the opposite side to cue her to do her side pass over, because she just hasn't been doing these things really. I'm not really sure when she last practiced a lot of these skills, because she's primarily a lesson horse at our farm doing some hunter jumpery type things. Of course, she'll do some obstacles, like go over some bridges and take part in our obstacle shows, but not working at Liberty per se, and not necessarily doing all of these different tricks on the ground. And so you can see she definitely has moments where she's like, oh, what's that over there? I'm going to go sniff that and go over there. I'm like, no, you got to like come back to me. And so what's important to share with you guys is that Kahleesi is the horse that started my journey to find a different way of learning Liberty. She's the horse that I drove all the way from Canada down to Florida to go take a lesson in Liberty with some of the best, to try to figure out, how could I get her Liberty stronger? Because whenever I went to open spaces or would start to do higher speeds, like at the circles, for example, I could keep her a little bit with me at the trot, but definitely if I was starting to canter, 100% I would lose her for sure. And it was a real challenge. But back then, my way of doing Liberty, the way I was being taught, was to essentially chase my horse, or like make them work harder if they were not near you. It's like, well, this is a thoroughbred who was a really good race horse, and she's got a lot of go. She's got a lot of stamina. So making her run in circles would just work her into a sweat, and she would keep going and was not actually successful. I'll never forget when I was down in Florida during the lesson. Then they were like, if you want the canter Liberty circle, we're going to go in the round pen, and if she's not coming to you, we're just going to keep her cantering on the rail, and she has to try to come to you for her to get that release. And the thing is, she would just canter around the rail, and she was just cantering and cantering and cantering and cantering and working into a huge sweat, to the point where I felt uncomfortable, and I had to kind of put the brakes on and be like, okay, like this method is not working for my horse. Like she clearly just thinks she's supposed to go, and she's just going. And that probably stems a little bit from her breeding, being a thoroughbred and like having the stamina to go, but probably more so from the training that she had when she grew up, because she trained to be a racehorse, and she was a racehorse for many years and was a really good racehorse. And so she was trained to go, and you keep going. And so that's kind of unfair to then make her think that she's supposed to completely turn that around to something else. And so since then, I've completely overhauled my way of doing Liberty. I sought out different people to learn from, realized that using no tools is actually so much better, and you have to start with creating draw, meaning teaching your horse to come to you. Now with Kahleesi, she was the one that I struggled with at Liberty, and I've dabbled in little bits of Liberty since then with her, but I've had more horses since then. So for those of you guys that have followed me along, you know that I get new horses for thoroughbred makeovers or for Mustang makeovers, so I always have a lot more on the go. So I've never really gone back and fixed all of the holes that I put into her Liberty training. And that's definitely a concern heading to the Horse World Expo for Liberty, because she wasn't raised with the Liberty training program that I do now, which starts with a no tools approach. can be done in open spaces. Definitely does not need to be a round pen. There is zero chasing your horse around the round pen. The join-up games that we teach involve knowing horse behavior and knowing how to invoke that curiosity in your horse and for them to want to come over to you. But absolutely no chasing, no whips, not needed at all. And then building from that and starting with a bit of a draw and making sure that they know how to come to you and follow you. So my horses since then, like Alicia or Alfie, who is my Mustang this past year, they have great liberty and they have a really good recall. I can get them to come back to me. They stick with me pretty easily. And you guys have seen horses like Secret do, trotting liberty circles and canter liberty circles, all of these things that we've been able to do. And then there's Kahleesi, who have just never gone back and fixed all of that. And you can see that's Ryan riding one of the training horses in the background there. And it was okay that there was somebody riding around while I'm experimenting at liberty, because if Kahleesi were to run off, like, one, it's a good distraction test, because when we do the performances, there's going to be other people in the arena. But also Ryan's a very capable rider, so should Kahleesi go crazy nuts and run around, Ryan would be pretty competent at quickly jumping off if she needed to, or blocking Kahleesi. All of those things would be okay. So as I'm playing with Kahleesi, I'm kind of getting a feel for, can I draw her back to me pretty easily when she comes back? And what are the things that are easy enough for her to do? And you got to remember that when you get into a big demo environment, like where we're going to be in front of thousands of people, there's going to be lights, there's going to be loud music, there's going to be cheering. You guys are going to get to see that video for sure, but there's a lot happening. And so if your horse is struggling with something at home, chances are it's actually going to be significantly worse at the showgrounds. And poor Kahleesi has not had a lot of warning that this is coming down the pipeline, because as you guys know, Alicia got sick and we were waiting for test results to make sure that it wasn't anything contagious. And now that we know it's not contagious, it's like, okay, well, I can work with Kahleesi and bring her instead. But only about a week's notice for me to do some work with Kahleesi and get her to come. So that's not a lot of time, especially when you consider that I've got other things that I'm doing. I'm mom of a 2-year-old and 4-year-old. So I can't go out and play with Kahleesi, 2 times a day or something like that. I'm going out, once a day for about 30 minutes or so is the time that I have. And if I had more weeks, I probably could have prepared her a little bit more intently for a lot of these things. And here you can see she's showing me, like, I don't know about these pool noodles, because I was trying to do something more exciting than poles for our side pass. So I've cut out the part where I show exactly how I got her more brave with doing that, and I'll post that video in our Connection Club. Our Connection Club is an online club where I have all of my Mustang videos. I have a lot of more in-depth videos, including how to teach, the side pass towards you and a bunch of other things. But also every month I feature something that's a little bit new and different, so to try to just keep the inspiration and new ideas happening. So this month I'm going to use that video of me helping Kahleesi get more comfortable with the pool noodles and being successful there. And that'll be a great one to share in the Connection Club, because it's the idea of teaching your horse how to side pass something, but also if your horse is uncomfortable about something, how you can work through that, because it's so important that when your horse says, like, oh, I don't know about this, I don't know if I can do this, you don't want to give up entirely. You want to have some type of progress, even if you have to adjust the task a little bit for them, because you want your horse to be in a place where they go, oh, like, you explained that to me, like, oh, like, that feels better, like, that feels okay. And that builds trust and connection. When life stays easy all the time, you don't actually build a lot of connection, because if you think about the relationships in your life that are some of the deepest and where you really trust somebody, it's because you've been something through with them that you know you can count on them for. So it's not that things have to stay super easy all the time. It's that when difficult things come up, it's how you handle them. And so that I'm going to show in our Connection Club. But you can see we're doing some little jumps. We're doing a bunch of different things that we're experimenting with. And of course, she gets to do another lay down session where she gets to eat her supper while she's laying down. But coming up next is going to be a whole bunch about the Horse World Expo. Here's a little tiny look of ahead of the time. You get to see how big the crowd is, the lights. There's so much going on. This is waiting in the arena or at the side of the arena getting ready to go in. So stay tuned for more. Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.